Hey everyone, Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity here, back for a little review, a little reflection chat on pre-season, basically. We've now completed pre-season. We finished it with a really convincing 1-0 win over Toulouse at Carrow Road, which I'll chat about in a minute. But let's have a chat about the past kind of month really of pre-season and now where we sit going into the first game of the season against Liverpool, Anfield on Friday night. Unfortunately, I'm not going. I've been offered tickets and stuff, which is really kind of people, but I'm working basically. So I can't go, which is a shame, but I'm really looking forward to watching it. If you're a London-based Canary, follow Capital Canaries on Twitter, and they're going to be showing it live in the pub in Angel. I can't remember what the pub's called, but it's really good. I've been there a few times before, so I'm going to be there, absolutely buzzing for it. And you know what? I'm actually going into this season relatively confident, and I think I have been before pre-season, but you kind of say that based on absolutely no evidence. And a lot of stuff in football is based on emotional kind of feelings rather than evidence-based facts, which is never very wise. It's probably why we've got to where we are in society, but that's a completely different matter in, you know, maybe one for another video. But now I've watched us play a few times, and yes, you can't read too much into pre-season, but you can read into the certain patterns of play, and you can certainly read into certain players not getting injured. I can remember that pre-season a few years ago when Tim Close and Alex Pritchard, who were at the time were our two most important players probably, went off injured against Cambridge, and it was like, well, that's the first 3 months of the season is now going to be really tough because of that. We haven't had that this time round. There was a scare with Ben Godfrey out in Germany. Thankfully he came through okay. There was a couple of times against Toulouse on Saturday where Emi Buendia hit the deck or Morris Lightner hit the deck, and I was like, please just get up, because it's the worst thing in the world when a player gets injured in what is kind of a meaningless match. Well, of course there's let me just pull my sleeve up. Of course there is meaning to it, but now I've watched us, you know, I watched that full game against Luton, I watched the full game against Toulouse, I watched a bit of us against that Atalanta and out in Germany as well. The coverage, by the way, has been really good, so bravo to the Norwich media team for streaming games where possible. But I just look at us and think, I don't know what there is to worry about. Of course the step up in grade is going to be tough, and we've spent what, £1.2 million or something, which I think is actually the second lowest in the league. The lowest in the league is Liverpool, so it's the two lowest spenders going into the first game of the season, kicking off the Premier League, so that's good fun. So arguably we should really be beating Liverpool. I'll be incredibly disappointed if we don't, because we've now spent 600 grand more. So I look at the team and, you know, having kept Aarons, having kept Godfrey, having kept Jamal Lewis, having kept Emi Buendia, which, by the way, I was always confident we were going to do, just because of the maturity of them individuals, and Stuart Webber as well, and Daniel Farke. You know, they've got a project to buy into. Can I see us keeping them beyond this summer? No, I can't. Maybe a couple of them, but certainly not all of them, because they are going to go on to bigger and better things. Of course they are. And it would be wrong to keep them back. But having capped them players, that's almost like 4 new signings because of the value they hold to the way we play. Speaking to my mate who's a Luton fan, having lost Stacey and Justin, 2 of their best players, and that's a really big ask then for Luton, because they've gone up a league, having lost their 2 best players who are influential to the way they play football, and they're expected to stay in the league. That's a tough ask for us. Of course staying in the Premier League is a tough ask. I would be deluded to say that we should be staying up easily. We are where we are in the bookies tables, because bookies aren't stupid and they've priced us up in a way that is probably fair. Second favourites to go down, Sheffield United are the favourites, who, by the way, have spent a lot of money, so arguably we should be favourites to go down. Villa have spent a lot of money, like hundreds of millions of pounds. We can't compete with that. Yes, we maybe could have spent a bit more, but at the same time, what's the point in spending money when there isn't the player that's suited to the way you play football and will fit into the style? You know, we've all heard Stuart Webber talk on countless occasions of not only do they need to fit into the way we play football, but they need to fit into that culture. And I genuinely think that there is a massive, massive emphasis on having just a really tight-knit group. I think that is, of course you need the quality as well, I believe we've got the quality, but I think that is enough to really hold you in good stead going into the Premier League. In terms of the game against Toulouse, I was really, really impressed, having watched us against Atalanta, who, by the way, are, I think, playing Champions League football this season. 45 minutes we were good, second 45 we fell apart and defended poorly. We need to start defending better if we want to stay in the Premier League. You know, obvious comment, but true. Because Premier League strike forces are much more ruthless than they are in the Championship. You can kind of get away. I remember vividly, like, Neil Maupay, for example, Maupay for Brentford, like gifting him a couple of opportunities in the Championship, who's one of the best Championship strikers, and him blazing one over at Carrow Road. Like, that's a, you know, a bit of a niche example, but if you do that in the Premier League, they're going to score. And when you go behind in the Premier League, it's suddenly very, very difficult. So we just need to up our levels, and I believe we will do that. Players will continue to improve. Will we get 30 goals out of Teemu Pukki again? No, obviously not. But you would have hoped that Josip Drmic would step up, and if Teemu Pukki, for example, isn't firing for 4 games in a row, then someone will come in and step up for him. So I'm just really confident and proud of this group. And I haven't said that going into the Premier League for quite some time. Even when we went up under Alex Neil, after that fantastic time at Wembley, it was an ageing squad. Was the emphasis there on really fighting for the shirt and the badge? I don't know. They'd been there, they'd done it before. Which, of course, you could use the argument that experience is incredibly valuable. We have very limited experience in terms of players who's played in the Premier League before. You've got Tim Krul, who's played, what, 130 times? Probably more than everyone else combined. Tete's, of course, played a few, but he won't be featuring much this season. So experience is limited, but I go back to the podcast with Jake Humphrey that we filmed last year, and he said sometimes, not all the while, but sometimes naivety can actually play quite a valuable part in a team's way of thinking, because it's fearlessness, right? The youth are fearless, and that's really good. So yeah, I was just really impressed with the way we played against Toulouse. They didn't look great by any stretch. I think they finished 16th in Ligue 1. Ligue 1. I failed French, by the way, at GCSE. Not to boast about it. Stay in education, kids. But yeah, you know, we passed through the channels really nicely. Emi Buendia just gets me so excited. Like, watching him play just makes me feel that love for football. I think it's very easy sometimes watching from the stands, because you've got that, you know, that advantage of seeing where they can pass it, because you can see the whole picture. They can't. Emi Buendia is much like Wes Hoolahan in the sense that he picks a pass that you just genuinely can't see. The pass for the goal today, Kenny McLean's strike, he cut out 5 defenders with one single pass. That's the kind of quality that is going to, you know, do you good in the Premier League. And there's a reason that Stuart Webber said when James Maddison left and Daniel Farke went up to him and said, look mate, probably didn't phrase it like that, but when Daniel went to Stuart and said, I'm a bit worried now we've let James go, and Stuart said, I've got someone maybe not as good, but nearly as good as James Maddison. And I genuinely believe that. His work rate, his quality is so, so pleasing. Yes, we only won 1-0, but it could have quite easily been 6 or 7. The tempo, you know, I can almost forgive us sometimes for not going on to win games, as long as the tempo's really high. And I've seen that this pre-season. I saw it against Luton when we absolutely dismantled them, who, by the way, then went on to draw 3-3 with Middlesbrough in a very competitive game. They are a very competitive Championship side. I think people almost underestimated Luton, because we all remember them from being the non-league heroes from a few seasons ago. They played the best football in League One by an absolute country mile, and we picked them apart. They looked a shadow of a team. And that team who played against us last week was pretty much the same team that played against Middlesbrough and nearly went on to win the game. So the standard of teams we've been playing against has been quite high, and we've looked good, right? So let's go into this Premier League season with confidence. It's going to be hard, of course it's going to be hard. We are going to lose more games than we win, yes. So there's going to be a bit of a switch there in terms of supporters, because we're going to be turning up to certain games knowing we're probably not likely to win. In the Championship, you turn up to every game expecting to win. So let's maybe cut that level of expectation. Yes, of course, we all want to stay in the league, me more than anyone. And I want to see our players really trying and putting in an effort, and I'm sure they will. So from me, the pre-season's been a success, and I go into the Premier League with my head held high, confident and proud of this group we've assembled. Will there be some more signings coming in the next few days? There might be. Will they be big signings? No. I think anyone can pretty much guarantee you that. So this is pretty much the squad we're going to be using now. And I think we've got a very, very good chance of staying up. If I was a betting man, I'd be putting a few quid on Norwich to stay up. For sure. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. How are you feeling going into the Premier League? I'm kind of at that stage now of slightly apprehensive because I don't think it quite sinks in. We all lead busy lives, right? I can't fully get in the mode of it's game day until it's game day. I don't get that excitement that much leading up to a game now. But I know that come Friday morning and I'm going into work, there's only one thing I'm going to be thinking about, and that's that kicking off night at Anfield. Kicking off night, that's a terrible phrase, isn't it? The night it all kicks off at Anfield, the whole of the world watching, and our boys walking out. I'm going to be proud, I can tell you that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.